Hey, reviews!
Back up in here, yo.
And we both just got back from watching movies. Ian went to go see Hunter Killer. I went to go see Mid90s.
90s.
This was a very interesting entry from Mr. Jonah Hill, which many people know him from Superbad.
It's bad.
Along with various other roles that he's had throughout the years, going from very comedic to very serious. So he's kind of shown his range.
Yeah.
I would definitely say this one falls into a bit of humor, but very real life realistic. So I'm going to jump right into it. Mid-90s starts off with a very realistic, nostalgic for me, view of the 90s. We open with our protagonist of the film, Stevie, wearing a Guile Street Fighter 2 shirt, and you see him immediately getting beat up by his older brother. So anyone who has any older siblings, older cousins, just anyone in the family where you get bullied, basically, like you'll be able to relate like right off the bat because it's the first thing they show you in the film. Yeah. Literally the first scene in the film, he's getting bullied. And then it pans back and you see his NES. You see his brother's CD collection of hip hop. You see Source magazine, right?
Source show.
Yeah, the Source with Slick Rick on it. I'm pretty sure it's the cover where he comes out with The Art of Storytelling, which was like his big comeback. You see the Reasonable Doubt CD by Jay-Z. You see a ton of stuff that's very reminiscent of the mid-90s if you lived through any of that. Beavis and Butthead t-shirts, just things like that. Very, very, very nostalgic. Then all the characters, supposedly, I don't know if it's everyone in the film, but a large majority of these kids have never acted before in their life.
Okay.
Jonah Hill actually picked up skaters in LA to be in the film. Like, he jumped out of a van and was like, yo, you want to be in my movie? And personally, I think it kind of works on a level of you don't have to find actors that can skate. You just have to find skaters who want to act. Right?
Yeah.
Because even based off, it kind of on your direction on what scenes you can give him. So it's written and directed by Jonah Hill. I think the direction that he gave them was pretty good. There are a few moments in the film, I would have to say, that are, I don't know, maybe could be a little quicker. I'll get into the spoiler part of it later because I think if I explain it now, it might ruin some stuff. But there's some scenes and situations that happen that smidge cringeworthy. I think he does that on purpose just to show you that life is kind of cringy sometimes. Yeah. So overall, I thought it was pretty good. I don't know if it's as good as all the critics are hailing it, right? Like I think we were talking about that before, right?
So it just depends on how well the acting and things go, and how well do you like the 90s.
Yeah.
And some people might not like the 90s. They didn't have a good time, so they might not really like.
Maybe you're a 2000s baby.
Yeah, or you don't understand the 90s. That's just what it was. You're not old enough to understand how good the 90s were.
You don't get it.
You don't get it.
You ain't down.
You can get them slap bracelets.
Right. You don't even know who Aaliyah is. But like his older brother is like caught in that realm of like, white kid, like hip hop crowd. Yeah. So he's got the polo baggy shirts, the baggy jeans, and then like Stevie ends up falling into the crowd of like skaters because skating was like very popular. I myself had a skateboard for a little bit.
I was a skater.
All of 6 months, and I tried to do like 2 tricks and said that wasn't my thing, and then I played sports.
I went off one skateboard ramp and almost died.
That was it. For you, yeah?
That was it. I was like, yes! Boom!
I think that's when I graduated to a BMX bike. And then I was like, BMX bikes are safer, and I can do more tricks on those. I can bunny hop, I can jump off the ramp and not die.
See, I was already biking. I thought, okay, skateboard wouldn't be that hard. Almost died. I'm going to stay on my bike.
Yeah, see? Bikes are safe.
Almost died on my bike a couple times, too.
So with the cast, though, I think they did overall a good job for these kids supposedly not really having acting classes or what have you. That's why you might have seen this like, man, I don't recognize any of these kids. And it does have a throwback, if anyone has seen, you said this right off the bat when you saw the trailer, kids. right?
Yeah, when I saw the trailer, I was like, are they remaking Kids? Because I felt like that's what it looked like just from the trailer. Like, before they gave the name of it, I felt like, this feels like a remake of Kids.
And Kids, in my opinion, gets pretty dark really fast.
Yeah.
And it gets heavy, like it's a heavy
Yeah.
plot line. This is heavy in certain situations. There's like a couple of scenes you're like, what is happening right now? Like, is this real life? Like,
Yeah.
that's real life. Like, that's some stuff that would have happened in the 90s.
Yeah.
That might be some stuff that would happen today. Wow. The terminology they use, very nostalgic of that as well. Overall, though, I'm going to go ahead and give this one a 3.5.
Ooh, 3.5.
3.5.
Okay.
I kind of want to give it a 4, but I don't want to overhype it for anybody. If I were to not be concerned with overhyping and not be 100% critical for this, I would easily give it a 4, in my opinion.
Okay.
I'll tell you guys more about why in the spoilers.
Okay.
But it could easily be a 4. I'll safely say a 3.5. Good written and directed debut by Jonah Hill. I don't think he's directed anything else to my knowledge. I think this was his first one. I think. So yeah, pretty good so far.
Yeah.
The main guy, I think his character's name is Ray. I'll have to double check real quick. But the two main guys that they kind of follow that are like the good skaters,
Yeah.
their dynamic is interesting. So there's a huge like friendship dynamic that they show and like kind of a I don't want to say like a coming of age story. It definitely is. This is more of a finding your place in life story.
Okay.
Like a kind of a balance. Like, who are you? Who do you hang with? Is this what you want to do? Is this who you want to become? Is that something within your reach? You know, is it outside your reach? Are you staying in your lane? Which is kind of that was like a popular thing, even though it's kind of coming back again. But that's kind of where we're at with sayings are kind of just like coming back, right?
Yes.
So quick update. That was not Jonah Hill's first. This is his like full-length feature directorial debut. So for that, I think he did rather well, in my opinion.
Now, should they see it in the movie theater or should they wait?
That is a tough one. Just because I think if you are the type of individual that likes seeing something that's a little different, as far as like this genre of film compared to like a big Hollywood like blockbuster, I would say definitely check it out. Aside from that, though, I do feel you might be able to just kind of hang back and wait for a home video. If you're a 90s, like if you grew up in the 90s, though, I think you will enjoy it.
Go watch it on a VHS show.
I think you'll enjoy it. That would be actually really. That'd be a good way to market the DVDs and Blu-rays, right? You sell in a VHS package.
Yeah.
Right. That'd be kind of cool. We want 10% of that if you use that for marketing.
VHS.
All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and roll into spoilers now, and discuss how the film ends. And all the kind of character plots and tie-ins. So if you do want to stick around and listen to that, please feel free. Again, in the comment section or the description of the video, I'll actually put a timestamp on when you can watch all this. So if you want to come back afterwards and listen to spoilers and Easter eggs, this will be the time to do it.
Yes.
And rolling right into
in
it.
your face.
They kill another black person in the film. Unnecessary. Tries to do a stunt and falls off a building. Like, realistically, would a black guy jump off a building?
Yep. And then the Thanos snap.
That doesn't really happen. So he does do a stunt. He calls it the gap, and they go to this. It is a building, and he jumps the gap, right? But it's at a school, so it's not really that high. So Stevie, our main character, is trying to find friends, and he stumbles upon a skate shop, and he's like, "Oh, these kids are kind of cool. Like I could hang out with them." And so he makes his way in there. He starts kind of creeping in day after day. He sells, like, he basically trades all his NES games to his brother, so he can use his old like skateboard that says Cowabunga at the bottom. And then one of the kids makes fun of him, kind of. He gets accepted into their little fold of skaters, and then he kind of proves by like kind of having a no fear attitude to like actually conversing. Like, he's very quiet at first, And then one of the kids, they call him fourth grade, kind of makes a comment like, do black people use sunscreen? And he was like, man, what's wrong with you, yo? You are stupid. And he was like, so, hey, Stevie, you know that black people use sunscreen, right? And he was like, what are black people? And they're like, yo, they're like, yeah, yeah. And like, all of a sudden, they accept him into the fold. And then the first kid he was talking to kind of like a little butthurt that they seem to like him more than him already. This character's name is Ruben. And he's kind of like, and I was like, oh, it's a hating nigga dolphin right there already. I can see him. So from there, you kind of move forward a little bit. He upgrades to the newer board. He skates with them more. And we come full circle to where I just mentioned the roof scene. And then like Ruben, who was the whole reason why he got like accepted in so quick at first, is kind of hating on him. And he's like, they're like, go ahead, man, jump. And like he goes, and he whistles out. And they're like, pussy. They're like calling him names and stuff. And then Stevie's like, come on, man, you got this. He's like, shut up. And then Stevie's kind of looking at him like, I'm going to do it. And so he starts going. Mind you, this kid just literally learned how to actually skateboard. Like to like kick push, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, what are you doing, yo? Yo, you're not going fast enough. Yo! Bing! And hits the like picnic table, like the lunch table, like hard. Damn. Like, and I'll be honest with you, I've never heard an entire theater gasp because we were all like, oh, oh, is he okay? And the first reaction, everyone, that nigga's dead, yo. Oh shit! And I was like laughing, thinking to myself, why am I laughing at that? Like, he looks like he's dead. Like the way he's filmed, his arms are like behind his back and everything. It looks crazy. And they rush down to him and they help him back up. And he's like, yo, I'm okay. Blood just starts running down his face. And I was like, oh, you are, like the main kid, Ray's like, you are not okay. Like you are bleeding from your head profusely. Like put a shirt on this dude, like wrap his head up or something, And fast forward again, they decide to go to a house party, right? And then it's his first encounter with a female, but he plays it off real smooth. And he tells the girl when she asks him, "Hey, remember the girl?" He's like, "The gentleman doesn't kiss and tell. I mean, I don't do that type of stuff." And she's like, "Oh." So she's intrigued by him because the other guys there have a reputation of supposedly that they're all jerks basically, and they're just there to take advantage of women. So they go back, and this is the scene where I was talking, like, it gets very cringy because you're like, how old is this kid? And like, how old is she? And they're like kissing kind of intensely, and like he strips down to his boxers and he's just like sitting there, and you're like, anytime now, you can stop showing us the scene. You don't know the age of him, and it's kind of awkward because he literally looks like he shouldn't be in this scene. Yeah. And then fast forward, they both come walking out the room, and he kind of like just has this smile, and he's like, yo, and he sees the boys, and he's like, I got 2 fingers up in her vagina. I was just like, really? And then so they go back and forth, and he's like, just, obviously he's not a gentleman because he's way oversharing on everything that happened, and this and that. And then the other kid, Room, gets even more jealous, but the other two guys are like the better skaters are like, all hyping him up. They're like, oh, man, you like me, yo, you like me. Oh, man, you won't get all the girls, you can get all the girls. And then fast forward again, and the night's over. He's been drinking. He has been smoking weed. He pees outside of his house. Like, in front of the door. Like, he just could have waited like 3 seconds, opened the door, and been inside the house.
Nah, he ain't got time for that. We ain't got time waiting.
Pees outside, and then his older brother's like, what are you doing, man? What's wrong with you, yo? What's wrong with you? And then they fight, and that sets off a whole chain reaction. The mom finds out, and then she comes in there and yelling at them all. And then he gets crazy hopped up, and like there's this super intense scene where he's like telling his mom to shut up. and this and that. And the opening scene to talk about his mom, you think she's talking about a potential date, but you later realize she was talking about a John. His mom is a hoe.
For sure.
Which is awkward because it's the same chick from Fantastic Beasts.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, I didn't expect to see you in this type of light. All right. Which I think she's like the only recognizable other actress aside from like there's a comedian in it as well. But I think she's the only like other main actress that I think is like really recognizable.
Mm.
So it's kind of strange. And then the older brother illuminates to the fact that, oh, mom was somebody different before you were born. She used to make a lot of noises. And the little brother is sitting there like, what kind of noises? Fucking noises. He was like, whoa.
Damn.
Why are you telling your little brother? And then like the other kid's like, fuck mom. That's probably what's been happening, given the situation. So fast forward, there's a very like another house party, like kind of house party they have at the skate shop, and there's a huge scene where there's a depiction of like friends like not being friends, where the one kid actually wants to become a pro skater, the other kid just wants to get drunk and high all the time, and the drunk and high one comes over while the other kid is talking to all the pro skaters and like kind of embarrasses him a little bit, and he was like, yo man, I need you to go chill somewhere else. And he's like, yeah? He's like, yeah, go chill somewhere else. And that kind of like separation of like, you see it kind of, and then like fourth grade, one of the characters is like, should I go introduce myself? And like Stevie's like, no man, sit down. like sit down. Like let him do his thing. Like, and then he starts talking to other people, and then the party's over, and for whatever reason, little Stevie hits rock bottom, is like chugging a 40, and is just depressed because his brother hit him and everything else. And the other friend, his name is Fuck This, or yeah. I was like, whoa, names. So, anyways, so at the very end, basically how it ends is there is a car crash because he's driving drunk. The other guy, Ray, doesn't have the heart to tell him like not to drive drunk. He starts saying, hey, just drop us everyone off at home. Like, just drop everyone off at home. And they're not paying attention to the fact that dude's like falling asleep as he's like talking smack to him. And they crash. Car flips. Stevie gets like a busted arm. They allude to the fact that it looks horrible because he's like, oh, they took photos. And everyone's like, ugh. Oh, man. And I was like, dang, how bad was his arm, yo? Because like the car falls on the side that he was on, the passenger side.
His arm
and his like arm was like out the window or something. So I don't know how bad it was, but it's all in the cast and everything else, and he's kind of messed up. And then the main skater dude tells him, he's like, man, I've seen you take the hardest hits in life ever, like that I've ever seen anyone take. You know you don't have to do that, right? And then it pans back and kind of shows all the other kids kind of in a moment of reflection where they're all thinking like, man, like he's right, like life in general doesn't have to be as hard as we're making it, right? And that's kind of like I don't know if that's what Jonah Hill meant to say by that or not, but kind of the message I got from it, especially the way he pans back and shows all of the characters. So then fourth grade, who wants to be a movie director, was like, oh, hold on, I got something for you guys. And he plugs in his VHS camera that he's been holding around the entire time filming everybody, and you see a little short montage of all their like intimate moments from all the main scenes in the film, and he calls it Mid90s.
Okay.
And then that's how the film ends. So they don't actually tell you like, oh, did he ever become a professional skater? Did he ever stop being a partier or a drunkard? You just kind of have that moment where Ray makes that comment, and everyone, you can tell in that moment they all kind of reflect.
Yeah.
And then they lead off with it that the one person who kept saying he wants to be a director finally shows his craft, his talent. So it kind of makes you get the impression that everyone's probably going to go down that path of finally fulfilling things that they wanted to do and clean up their act maybe overall. So overall, decent film. That's why I said it could easily be a 4 if you look at it from that perspective of all the different things, all the different ways it ties in, lots of different cuts and angles in the scene, and like a lot of metaphorical things for life. Like there's the mixed black kid who seems to struggle with being focused on professional skating or just partying and drinking. So that could be like the duality of him fighting back and forth with, am I white or black? What side do I associate with?
Yeah.
Right? Because he tells the black kid, his other friend, like, you can tell he's black, obviously, right? And he tells him, he's like, hey, he's like, I got it good. He's like, we live in the suburbs and da 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 da. He's like, oh yeah? He's like, what are your options? And he's like, well, I don't really have to work because mom and dad, da, da, da. He's like, yeah. He's like, see? He's like, I don't have that. He's like, I'm going to stay focused on skating. Yeah. So it's kind of like a reflection of where you got like someone who understands the struggle but doesn't really.
Yeah.
And then you have the kid where, like, he's literally skimping by on his own and he wants to make his dream of being a skater come true because he wants to get up out of everything.
Yeah.
Right? He wants to be the one traveling overseas and everything else. So
I want to be doing this in the world.
So there's a lot of interesting aspects of the film if you look at it as a whole body of work instead of a small body of work. Like there's another scene where he's breaking down to Stevie like that he lost his little brother in a car accident.
Yeah.
Like his little brother tried to cross the street going to soccer practice, got hit by a car.
Damn.
Right? Damn. And so like I heard some other people like kind of sighing, like, because that part kind of drug on a little bit, but if you stop and think about it, every time this main character, the main skater, was trying to help Stevie, he was reflecting on things of his life to try to make Stevie feel better about his life. Yeah. Right? And so
like, you ain't got that bad.
Yeah, right? He's like, man, I know like you feel like you're in a messed up place, and he said all that to him to let him know. He's like, man, he's like, and I remember fuck this came and we skated. He literally drugged me out of the house, and it was good to have someone there for me. So let's grab your board and go skate, man.
Yeah.
Right. So that was like his way to tell him, like, hey, I'm here for you. Let's go do this. Yeah. But is like in his own way. So like he was their leader, but like in a different kind of almost like Yoda-like way, like do it this. But he didn't come straight out and do it, right? He would like say other things, and it would happen that way. So like I said, overall good. Could easily be a 4. I can see why critics do rate it high because there's a lot going on in the film if you look a little bit past the surface.
Okay.
So that's going to do it for spoilers. Like, comment, subscribe.
Share it to everybody.
Everybody. We'll be back again next week, everyone. Thanks for all the love and appreciate you. Peace.